Yeah, we talked about this page a little bit already. Let's see
Yeah.
this stuff. We didn't get here, did we? Not too much. We did. We talked a
This
little
is
bit
what
about
we
this.
saw the other day.
Right. Yeah. This is just that center part of the house that we walked into.
Right.
And your rooms were upstairs.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And there was a big room over here, and there was a couple rooms over here, which was confusing the way they have it now. But here's a barn. I have some other pictures of the barn with my dad with his horses out on. But
How about the pond that was out here? Was that
the
there?
pond wasn't there.
It was not there, huh?
No, I don't understand what they did with that. But I'll tell you what, they did have, maybe I told you this, this land here, there was a road coming in, a mailbox down here, then that road down here in the bridge. Then there was a big piece of land here. Well, we had a lot of garden all in here and in the back, but there was a big piece of land right along the road. And about, well, no, it wouldn't be where, well, it could be some of the pond, that every spring bluebells would come up. And this whole area would be bluebells.
Oh, pretty.
Some people call them grape. Donna would know. We always call them bluebell. So every time they come up, people would be in there picking them all day long. There'd be people in there.
Oh,
picking
really?
And my mother built pan and daffodils, we call them, around the edge of them.
Oh, that
And
would be
then,
pretty.
yeah, and then she would call out to you, can pick all you want, but don't pick the daffodils. You know, don't pick them. So, but yeah, every spring there'd be people out there picking stuff. And this was me and Lily and my sister. And my mother was dressed a little bit like Mennonite there. She had and my dad. Well, here they are.
So
This is a wedding picture.
this is your grandparents, and this is your parents. Okay.
Right.
And they were born where?
I had a little trouble getting history on that. I got my cousin to
Somewhere
send.
in Switzerland, huh?
Yeah, well, we understand if you read further, some of them their kids ended up having some money, and they've traveled Europe a lot, and they supposedly went to Switzerland and saw graves with their name on it. Of course, they weren't buried there, but their ancestors were. So
And you never met them?
I met him.
You met
I told
him.
you, yeah. I don't remember her. I was just a baby when she died. But I remember him. He was an ornery old coot. He's the one I said that when he didn't like my brother, and he'd sit in
put
our
his cane
kitchen.
out. Yeah, okay.
Sit in my kitchen, and he'd be rocking. My mother always had a rocking chair in the kitchen, and he'd sit there and rock. Larry would walk by, stick his cane. He'd
Trip
go-
him.
This is more. Oh gosh. About my dad. All the years that he came out to Cedar Lake and was living there, I could have sat down with him and got a better history of his parents. Well, you saw his the other day.
Grave. Yeah.
Yeah, of his mother and father. Lap, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is my mother and me. You can see a little bit of the barn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a spring house there. No, I'm not sure. I think it was. Where you could keep stuff cold and had a... Usually the roof was down by the ground level, but it had a spring in it. And it was cool.
So your father was raised here?
No. There's where I draw a blank, because not talking to him, I don't know exactly where he was raised.
Okay.
They talk about that they had stuff they would go into Crown Point and sell. Not Crown Point, Doylestown. They would take a big container, and then they'd pour milk into. The people had to bring containers out, and they would pour the milk into those. You know, real sanitary deal.
Yeah, right.
But everybody did that, so. Yeah, that's about it. There should be some more pictures of the farm somewhere. I don't know, it'll be right next or not. No, this is where I go to Denny's dad and stuff that we saw yesterday. Those were the two aunts, Helen and Rose.
Oh, right, right. Butler graduation, 1939.
Mm-hmm. This was Woody the barber at a shop there on the corner.
So,
He just died recently. He had
oh wow.
when Jim came home then from the service and he started a building there in the corner. He got out because Jim wanted a little more rent and he wasn't going to pay it, so he moved his building down the street. Now he just died. He was like 100, and
Yeah.
they took the barber shop and they got it down at the museum.
Oh,
Have
really?
it set up, yeah, the way he had it.
Interesting.
It was a typical barber shop. Everybody got in there to know all the latest town gossip.
Gossip, yeah.
So
He graduated in 39, went into the military
He
right
went-
away, or what?
no, he had a chance. The war was still in 39. It still hadn't. We didn't
Really
have Pearl
picked up.
Harbor. We didn't
Right,
have
right.
Pearl Harbor. What happened is he graduated in 39, and he wanted to get a job. He liked to teach. He liked history, so he got a job at Hammond High School, and he loved football. So he would be a coach and teach history at Hammond High, and it was all set. He was real happy about it. This is the story I get from Aunt Rose. And Mary got sick, his mother, and they were running this grocery store. A grocery store, and Jack, her husband, which is her new husband, Jim's stepdad, was doing a lot of drinking, and it was a bad situation. And they took Jim aside and wished he'd take the store over. They couldn't run it anymore, and he really didn't want it. He didn't like grocery stores, and he really didn't want it. But this is how he told me. I really didn't want it, but they insisted they couldn't do it anymore, and they couldn't rent it. They didn't know what to do, so I took it over.
So he stopped teaching at that point?
Yeah, he never did go.
Oh, he didn't teach at all. He just
No,
he was going to.
He had a chance. They had accepted him, the way I understand.
Okay.
He had to tell him he couldn't come.
Oh,
Cancel
okay.
it, yeah. So he liked history a lot, and so he was like I said, he wanted to teach that, and he definitely wanted to coach football. So they were going to get a coach, and football was just getting, well, it's going pretty good by then in the high school. So big in the college, because he played for Crown Point High School and made All-State football, and also when he played for Purdue, he I
For
don't
Butler.
know- I mean Butler, yeah.
Yeah.
He played for Butler, so
So when did he end up going in then?
well, then he took the store over. He did great with the store. He got a new counter on one side. They served ice cream, and had a Coke bar there, pop and stuff, and little tables. In one end, if you go past the shopping center, and you see where this man has telephones now. That area was had a jukebox and self-serve ice cream, place for people to sit down and eat, have pop or anything. And then the grocery, it all tied in.
They're all part of the same.
Yeah. And he took it and made it IGA. He was able to get IGA. And then he also cited self-service, so you could
Walk
have
up and down the aisles.
a cart, I told you his stepdad said, they'll be stealing you by, and all that stuff. And so, but he stayed with it, and he was also, I told you, going up to Gary and learning to fly. That's when he was going to Gary and learning to fly.
And that was just for fun.
Partly.
But he thought maybe if he was
thought
going to go into the military, he wanted to fly.
Yeah, he didn't want to go in. He wanted to get in.
He had an idea, though, that he was going to go into the military.
Oh, sure. It was getting tough. It was Germany. Hitler's marching all over Germany. Then what really did it was Pearl Harbor. So then we had it in Germany, we had it in Europe, and we had it in Japan. I mean, you know.
Right.
So he ended up and then learning to fly, going up there, and between running the store. And he ended up. I don't know if he enlisted or whether they probably had a number and he went.
Yeah, that's what I wondered. Did they call him or did he enlist? Or what?
I don't know about that.
Not sure.
Got a feeling he got enlisted because then he got what he wanted, and he ended up cutting. I think I told you he was slicing lunch meat at the store. They had always had quite a lot of meat, fresh meat, and he was slicing. He sliced his thumb way down, just split it way down, and then they wouldn't take him for a while. So everybody in town, of course, he was the kid in town, and everybody in town said, oh, yeah, he did that so he wouldn't have to go, all that talk. But as soon as it healed up, he went. And then what he did is when he knew they still weren't in any shape to run it, he had two brothers that had a milk business that would deliver milk to him, and from Crown Point. What was their name? Well, I forget what their names were. But he rented a store to them, and his mother was in on it, and his stepfather, and they took it over when he went into service, and I think they paid $80 or something a month for the store, something like that.
Wow.
$89, something.
Amazing.
I could be wrong on that, or was it 200? I don't remember. No. Later on, when he started to build a store in the corner, he gave them first chance. This was about 8 years later. And he wanted to charge them $200, that's right. And no, that was too much.
Too much.
They moved up the
Amazing.
road and had a house, took a building up on the hill. And
So there was two grocery stores for a while.
yeah, there was.
Mhm.
Yeah, it wasn't very big, the one they had. Well, yeah. Now it's the one that RJ bought, that house that has two. It's a duplex.
Duplex.
Yeah, that's the one. It was a grocery store.
Oh.
So they ran that. These two brothers ran that. Yeah, they was his competitor.
Right.
Didn't hurt him too much.
So what were you doing at that time? Were you working at the
that
loan
time-
place at that point, or what?
I had worked at Happ and Sons, the real estate, and then I went to commercial credit. I was working in commercial credit. And I should have stayed there because I had a chance to really do real well there. I did okay as it was, but because my boss got drafted, he never thought he'd go, and they couldn't replace him, so I had to step up.
So
and
you were
did-
basically running the place.
Yeah, I was. They had a man come in, an older man that would never go in the service. He was too old. And there's a room in the back that he moved in and sat back there, and he was supposed to be helping me run. He never did anything, so they finally got rid of him. So I was there alone, and I don't know who they got when I left.
Hmm.
I couldn't see the building anymore for that. I think they tore that down when they put that monstrosity post. What was it?
Courthouse.
Oh, courthouse. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
you'd
I was
already
doing
been
that.
you'd already been to business college, right out of high
I was
school.
going to, yeah, I was going to business college.
But you were done with that by the time you worked at the loan place. No.
Yeah,
College,
I only
yeah.
went about, when I graduated, I just took a commercial course that I knew I could get, which, was shorthand and typing and commercial bookkeeping, that kind of thing. That's what I took, because I knew I could get a job for that.
Uh-huh.
So, There wasn't a lot of really good typers. A lot of people couldn't do shorthand. So anyway, I was going to business school. And my dad drove me down to the train every day, and I went to the next town, Lansdale Business College. It was just a man and a woman's home that they turned into a school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they had quite a few people. And the girl I also went the same time from Doylestown. Became real close friends with her. Had a lot of fun together. So, my dad really couldn't afford to send me there, so I don't know who, some man from Happensons, a realtor, was one of the brothers, came out to our farm, to the farmhouse, and heard that I had, heard about me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in a job. So then I didn't go over to business school anymore. I only went there hardly a year. And all I did was extend the typing and the whole deal.
Uh-huh. So maybe you would have stayed longer if they hadn't offered you a job then.
Probably.
Yeah.
Somebody came and it was bad times,
Right. People needed a lot of help, and a lot of the men.
My dad couldn't afford to send me, really. And I don't remember what it cost, but he couldn't afford it, so. I don't even remember. I only went I don't know if I finished even 1 year. Oh. It was strictly, I don't know if you even got a diploma or anything. It was, like I said, they had it in their house.
Yeah.
They were nice people and everything. I don't know, I think they only had about, I'm just guessing, probably about 50 students, something like that. It just tied me over till I got work.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you were going into the dance halls, and that's where you met Jim?
Dance hall. Well, in the meantime, he goes in the Navy and becomes a Navy, well, you saw it all there.
Right.
But he went in then and just went down to this airfield in Indiana. It was only about 100 miles from Cedar Lake, something like that. And I ended up teaching, instructing. He was there a couple of years, 2 or 3 years instructing. A couple of years because, like I said, they didn't have enough pilots. So that's what he did until they moved him to Columbus, Ohio, and first he was supposed to go to New York, and he was traveling to New York, and he got there late, which he always was, and they said they had it fulfilled, they wouldn't need him there anymore. Boy, he was ticked off, because he was thinking, New York, boy, I'll really live in New York. He'd never been there. And he ended up, they said, you're going to Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, and he said, where in the hell is Willow Grove? I don't want to go there. They sent him down there, and that's when he started trying out these different airplanes, and they had him, what they call it? Well, he had to learn and know how to fly that certain plane, and that's what he did there. He was there about a year, I think, before I met him.